The following is a condensed version of the article. When this mother-child, she took him to the woods and told him to live here from now on. The boy immediately cried, and he kept apologizing to his mother. The mom decided to run away, and to get away from the boy, she pushed him hard to the ground and ran into the car alone. The boy sees the side of his mom's cruel face, and she doesn't look back. The boy never had a home. He walked through the woods late into the night, the batteries in his body keeping him energized. The teddy bear toy also kept following him. That's when he saw a garbage truck dumping a huge pile of scrap in the woods. The robots should all be dead. Parts were everywhere. Broken figures emerged from the forest, picking up working parts from the garbage and helping each other assemble them. The broken bodies seemed to hide a lot of stories as well, but the boy didn't have time to ask as the robots stopped in terror. They saw the moon rise and a ship hanging below them, the fleet that hunted the discarded robots. Searchlights sweeping out from within the ship to discern the coded models of the running figures below. They spotted a living thing inside the forest through the thermal imager and attacked with all their might, catching all the robots in their nets, including David. The little teddy bear falls off and becomes a survivor, following the spaceship that captured the robots, and he arrives at the robot slaughterhouse. It's like a circus. The bleachers are filled with people, and while it's playing, the crew loads the spent robots into barrels. The Miss Manners directs a full countdown, and the robots are blown to bits. The so-called robot slaughterhouse is where humans gather around to watch the robots being abused for fun. The robots in the cages understand that they can't escape their torture. They turn off the pain sensors on each other, and they remain in the professional mold they were given. A former caretaker robot cared for the childlike David by instinct, and they were blasted to pieces. All of this leaves David speechless. That's when the teddy bear arrives. He falls as he runs towards David and is picked up by a girl. The little girl looks at David and she runs to her father and tells him about the boy in the cage. The father looks over at David on the monitor. The girl asks her father why they are in prison. The man calls up his co-workers and walks towards the cage, pulling out a searchlight that can penetrate the skin and hits David. The sophisticated network of machinery under David's skin is exposed. The man can't believe it. The boy in front of him is a robot. He can't bear to kill David. His boss knew he could have a show when he found out that David was the AI kid that never went on sale. David clung to the other robot beside him and the two were taken to the center of the stage, which was littered with robotic limbs. David was strapped onto the small stage. Directly above him was acid. David was terrified. His pleas for mercy and his look stunned the crowd. Some people started hitting the boss with things to make him release the child. This hit the whole crowd's fury was ignited in a flash and a wave of people instantly flooded the entire abattoir. Taking advantage of the chaos of the crowds, they escaped. David wanted to find Pinocchio in Pinocchio Blue Fairy. He knew Pinocchio was finally turned into a human by the Blue Fairy. He wanted to be a human so that he could return to his mother. In return for saving David's life, his new friend decides to go on the road with him. His name is Joe, is an AI lover robot that exists to please women. He says he knows of a DR know-it-all who will surely be able to find the Blue Fairy, and they head towards Yendu, where the doctor is located. And deep in the neon is the small room of DR know-it-all, who is a coin-operated quizzing robot. But when the two ask questions about the Blue Fairy, DR know-it-all actually blacks out, after which a reply scrolls across the screen that there is a power that can turn the robot into a little boy, who is in Manhattan at the end of the world, where there is a scientist, and David wants to go there, but Joe stops him, telling David that his mother doesn't love him, but David still believes in the love in his heart, and he decides to set out on his own. David climbs into a police helicopter when no one is looking. The helicopter races through the streets and accidentally knocks over the police car holding Bridge. Once again he saves Bridge. Joe smiles at David through the window. At this moment he is willing to help David fulfill his wish. They fly to Manhattan. They find the scientist's office. Inside there is a little boy who looks exactly like David. He greets David. Anger wells up in David, as everything is smashed to pieces by David. The scientist who created David appears. It was all his experiment. Everything David does shows that he has a mind, and he's managed to create a machine that knows how to dream and love. It turns out that David is just a shadow of his son, and because he lost his son early in life, he's created a robot that looks exactly like his own son. He tells David to wait. He's going to call other scientists to study him, and next David starts observing his father's lab.